Getting a straight handstand may be a real pain. Trust me, I know that. Sometimes your shoulders just go forward, sometimes your body remains diagonal, sometimes you can't activate your core properly. I know it gets better with time. As your balance improves, you can control your body better, but you always have to understand what to do and put in some effort in order to make that handstand straight. I'm the flexibility guy, Coach Elia, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the best exercises you want to use to make your handstand perfectly straight. Let's go. The first thing you do want to figure out in a handstand is how to move your shoulders and your shoulder blades. And when you are there, you do want to shrug your shoulders up and move your shoulders toward your ears. This kind of movement here is called shoulder blade elevation. Do you know the muscles that move your shoulders, your shoulder blades, your upper body in general in this particular movement here? Well, we have two muscles mainly, okay? So we have the trapezius, which is one of the biggest muscles of your upper body and moves your shoulders up. But we also have the serratus anterior, which is a muscle you have right over here, which moves your shoulder blades as well, okay? These two muscles allow you to shrug your shoulders up and in general to stabilize your handstand position. Now follow me, you want to work on these muscles, but it's not only about the muscle, it's about the posture, okay? So we have two main movements, two main kind of categories of movements we do want to develop if we want to make our handstand more stable, okay? And also work on the muscles involved in the handstand. I'm talking about shrugs and I'm talking about planks, okay? Upper body wise. We're gonna start with shrugs, okay? Where you basically have to perform this kind of movement here and understand how to do it first and how to make it stronger second. Let's go. First, we have the block shrugs. This is pretty easy in terms of strength, but super important to understand what you have to do in a handstand. So we start here. Block on top of your head, arms straight. We move the block down and up, keeping the arms straight at all times. Stop in each position and try to understand how it feels and how you can translate the same thing, the same movement in a handstand. Perform 8 of these for a couple of sets before your handstand workouts. As you got this, we want to do the same but in an L handstand. Now, you're going to be exactly like in a handstand, but since your legs are on a support, the exercise is going to be a little easier. But we want to perform the same movement as before, okay? So shoulders up and down on a vertical plane. As you do this, note how the movement is perpendicular to the floor. So you are sliding your shoulders up and down as much as possible, keeping the rest of your body exactly the same. You want to be able to perform 10 of these, then move on. Last exercise, you're going to do the same but in a handstand position. This is exactly what has to happen when you want to perform a good handstand. So as you can see, you have to shrug your shoulders up, keeping your arms completely straight. The more your body is perpendicular to the floor, the better, because the more the movement can be vertical. But you want to take your time to achieve this vertical position. So start with your hands far away from the wall, push your shoulders toward your ears and your body back diagonally, following your body trajectory. As you get closer and closer to the wall, you're going to do the same kind of motion, but more vertically. When you perform a handstand, your shoulders have not only to be shrugged up, but also protracted like this. When you activate this kind of movement here, you engage your serratus anterior maximally, and your handstand gets really solid. Here, I'm pulling my chest in, and I'm moving my shoulder blades apart, but I'm in a plank, not in a handstand. So how can you do this kind of movement here, not only in a plank, but also in a handstand? Let's find out. The way you want to make it work is this. First, start in a quadruped position, arms straight. From here, understand how to flatten your sternum and protract your shoulder blades, creating a curve on your middle back. Think about pushing the floor away from you. Repeat this kind of movement for 5 to 10 reps, ideal for your handstand warm-up as well. Then you want to do it in a plank position. First on your elbows, then with your arms straight. You want to loosen find the correct position to ensure proper motor learning. Your body remembers better what to do this way if you loosen find the correct activation. Once in a plank, this movement makes sense, so this protraction of your shoulder blades makes sense. You want to stand on your knees in front of a wall and put your hands on the wall above you, trying to mimic a handstand position, and you want to move your hips into posterior tilt, flattening your lower back. Now, watch until the end of the video to understand even better how to move your hips this way. Now, keeping your arms straight and your shoulders pressed toward the wall, arch your middle trunk area, spreading your front rib cage out. This is what you don't want to do in a handstand. At this point, you want to do the reverse. So you want to flatten your sternum and try to create a curve on your middle back. Now, that's how you want to perform a correct handstand. I always suggest 5 to 8 reps during a typical handstand warm-up for this kind of exercise. All right, now you know how to move your shoulders and your rib cage, but what about your core area? How should you move your core to perform a handstand? A lot of people think that they have to squeeze their core to the max in order to hold a handstand, but this is not true. Just think about a standing position, okay? I know it's not the same as a handstand, but in a standing position, do you squeeze, do you tense your core to the max? No, but you still hold that position, all right? It's not the same, but in a handstand, you do want to tense some areas, but you want to release some other areas. This way, you're gonna have a proper handstand alignment, you're gonna control the position, but you're not gonna be stuck in a position, okay? You still be able to control that handstand line and that handstand position, okay? So you do want to be activated, you do want to be solid, but you don't want to be too tensed, all right? And with the exercise I'm gonna show you now, you're gonna understand just how to do that and how to activate your core properly. Now, what you have to do core-wise is this. First, you want to understand how to move on the floor. So you lie on your back, hands to the side. At first, your hips are going to be arched. That's just fine. It's like they are supposed to be when you rest. But now you want to flatten your lower back, sucking your thumb in, and moving your hips into posterior pelvic tilt. So you want to touch the floor with your lower back. From here, squeeze your glutes and move your hips up without losing that kind of flat lower back though. This is really important. Then you want to come back into the starting position and repeat this kind of activation for several times until you got it correctly. Once you get the movement clear with your back on the floor, you want to do it against the wall, facing the wall, okay? So you put your hands against the wall and you create something like a handstand line. So a straight line between your hands and your hips. Now, you pull your chest in and create a straight line between your hands and your hips. Your hips start in an anterior tilt, so you arch your lower back. This is how you don't wanna do a handstand. Now, from here, you flatten your lower back, so you pull your thumb in, okay? And a lot of people just stop here. But remember, you have one more step to go, which is pushing your hips toward the wall this way. Can you say the last step? So again, step number 1, arch your back. This is how you don't wanna do it. Intermediate step, belly in, flattens to the lower back. But now, last step, squeeze your glutes, push your hips over the wall. This is the correct handstand line, okay? And once you got it, you want to repeat the movement for several times for the best understanding of the correct position. At this point, once you got it right facing the wall, you want to do the same, but in a handstand position, always facing the wall, okay? So you start in a chest to the wall handstand. You keep your shoulders and your trunk still, and you move your hips in an anterior pelvic tilt first. So you basically want to do it wrong, okay? This is how you don't want to perform a handstand. Then you want to flatten your lower back, suck your thumb in, and finally remember to push your hips toward the wall. As you do this, try not to move your trunk and your shoulders. This is how you want to hold a handstand, okay? And you can repeat the same kind of movement for several times in order to ensure, again, proper motor learning. This is how your body understands it, okay? So you want to find and lose the correct activation. Once you have this movement clear in a handstand as well, you can start balancing this handstand. So you want to feel how it is to balance this kind of posture in a freestanding handstand. So chest to the wall handstand, you activate your hips properly, your shoulders and your spine as well, okay? But then you want to go into a freestanding position. So as you activate your body properly, then try to leave the wall and balance the handstand. Of course, this is a step which is far beyond the other ones, because in the other ones, we don't work on the balance. In this one, we have to work also on the balance. So you have to be prepared on that as well. If you can do it, congratulations. This is how you want to hold a proper handstand. All right, I hope that at this point you know some of the best exercises you can use to make your handstand perfectly straight. Even though, remember, it's not gonna be that simple. You still need the balance, you still need the flexibility. I have plenty of videos on this channel where I can teach you how to increase your flexibility and how to increase your balance in order to make that handstand perfectly straight. But if you want something a little more personalized and a little more on the spot, you can check out my Flexibility Guy app, where you can find all the workouts and all the exercises you can do to make your handstand better. And you can check it out following the link in the description down below. All right, that said, thank you so much for staying with me today. Patience, this is the keyword in handstands. But by the way, have a good handstand and see you in the next video. Bye. Hey, when you perform the handstand press, can you lift your feet off the floor like this? Or do you crash on the floor? Well, you can learn the handstand press with the Handstand Press book, with all the exercises and methodologies you have to follow to master your press to handstand. You can check out the Handstand Press book on Amazon right now.